Howdy, it's Matt here and welcome back to my mini desk, and this is my soldering desk. And what I'm going to be soldering up is the tiny, and I mean absolutely tiny, ACSP5 little power board. Now this tiny little board will cope up to about 42 volts. It will sense up to 80 amps and I believe it does give out 2 amps out to the PixRacer board as well. It's absolutely diddy, and this little device will, number one, it's the power supply unit for the PixRacer, which you can provide power to the board by using the your ESC. I do need to check if it does have a redundancy to it like the bigger brother, the Pixhawk. It also has a voltage sensor and also a current sensor on here too. Now what I'm going to do when you order this, all you get is the board and the cable. So what we're going to go and do is go and wire it up. Now on the right hand side of the board, this side here where the plug is, that's where the battery needs to go. And then on the left hand side, this is where it carries on to your speed controller, so you can see it labelled as being ESC. So if I turn that over like so, and that's the positive terminal along the top. So if I put that like that, and let me grab some cable, what I'm going to do, and I've got the ruler there just to try and keep things into perspective, is that I am just going to run a couple of inches either side. So I am going to run about a 4-inch cable either side. So to keep this easy, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go and chop this cable up to begin with. So that's the black one. And I am making it a bit longer than what I normally would do, just to give me some flexibility in the models which I put this in. So that I get exactly the same length, I'm just going to match one up to the other. So like so, and give that a chop. There we go. So there's our 2 cables. And the plan of attack is actually really straightforward. So I'm going to strip a bit of the cable out the middle, so I need to know where the center of this cable is, which, if you just fold the cable in half, there we go, there's the center of the cable. And I'm just going to go and mark and see if I can strip away a little bit of that cable, and if this doesn't work out, then what I'll do is just chop it in half and go from there. So that's quite a wide board, so I'm going to go from about 2/8 of an inch one way, and I'm going to go 2/8 of an inch the other way, and I'm just rolling this with the knife. And then I also then need to just get a cut, wary of cutting my fingers, along the top. Brilliant. So now I should be, hey, there we go, able to retrieve and open up the cable to go on top of there. Now for the red live cable, or the positive cable, I'm going to fold that in half, and this one I do need to cut in half because we've got 2 sides to it, so I'm just going to chop that in half nicely along the top. Now I could either use the Stanley blade if that won't fit in my wire strippers, which it does, so let's get that strips off. Brilliant. And I'm going to do the same on that side as well. Just give it a touch, twist a little bit if I can, and then pull. Brilliant. So what I now need to do is, number one, put some solder on these 2 parts of the wires, and also some solder on that center section, and I also need to tin the board itself. So I've got the soldering iron on the right hand side, and unfortunately I don't have one of those big fat tips, so I probably will end up putting too much heat into the board. I already know that, and it's such a shame because you probably won't be able to see this on the camera, but the quality of this board is out of this world. It's one of the best circuit boards just for prettiness and quality of soldering I've ever seen. So thumbs up, guys, whoever made that one. Oh, and by the way, I bought this directly from auav.co, which I believe it came from the United Kingdom, because it came Royal Mail tracked, I think. So yeah, and it was here within a day or two. So unlike ordering from China, for example, it was here very, very quickly. So let's go and see if we can tin this board up, because I will then need to come back to this one afterwards. So you'll see me using one of these soldering pens. If you've never used one of these, I will put a linky in the description for you. It does help with the oxidization. So let me get that in there. So and then I'm assuming that you can see this okay. So let me just bend that down a bit. So brilliant. I've got some flux on there, and I now need to get my solder, which is around the bottom of the camera. So I'm just going to make sure we're up to temperature, which we are, and I know that we're going to need loads of solder. So let's see if we can get this to grip on here, which we did. Brilliant. And I should have already put it out in the middle, shouldn't I? Because that's where the thing is going to go in a moment. Ace. Lots and lots of solder. Brilliant. Nice little pool of solder on there. Now we need to do the same on the end. Get a nice little pool. I know, it's such a shame I just saw that bubble on the back, but it's not the end of the world. Brilliant. So that's one side done, and we both know that's going to be super hot. So if you hear me go ow in a minute, you know why. There we go. And this time around, I'm just going to grab it like that. And I think with all that heat which has just gone in, I'm just going to stick a bit more of that flux on that end. Let's get the soldering iron back again. Again, I'm trying to go as quick as I can. As quick as sensible. Right, so I'm happy with that now. Okay, so we'll put that board to one side just to go and cool down somewhere. So we'll pop you over there. Let's go and tin up these wires. And the idea is that for us tinning up the cables beforehand is that it makes the connection. If we tried basically doing all this in one go, we would end up putting far too much heat into the board. And we could end up frying the components on the opposite side. So let's just do those, a little bit of flux, and again I managed to carve out just a tiny little nick out of this soldering iron. And by the way, this was the cheapest soldering iron I could find, and it was actually from Screwfix, which is a local DIY store. Well, I say local, they're for all over the UK, but it was local and it was cheap. And my other one stopped working, so happy days. Maybe we should take that apart for another video. Let me go and get that one out of the way. So that's that done, and got to try and solder up this one now. So I'm going to leave that there. I want that to be straight as possible, so let me get those two red wires out of the way, and I'm just going to hold that tight between those two. And again, just a little bit of flux in there. Okay, quite a bit of flux in there. Get a little bit more solder ready. And then, where's that cup? There we go. So I'm going to heat this up from underneath first to get some heat in the wire, he says, and this time around it's not going particularly well. Come on. There we go. Yeah, that would be classed as quite a bit of solder. That's okay. Alright, brilliant. We've got a nice big blob on the bottom of that. This is going rather well. Happy days. Right, let's move that out of the way. Next, we've got to get that on there, and to make sure we get a really nice join. So let me see if I can hold this board still. Just push that down. And this is going to go on a bit of an angle, which is okay. It's okay. So apologies if my hands are in the way, but I do want to do a good job on this one. Like I said, the board did look absolutely amazing. So I'm here trying to get some heat into everything now, and I'm waiting to see the solder underneath go, which it has done. Oh, this is going to be fun, I can tell you. Right. This is definitely good fun, because that has stuck, but it was moving around too much. So I'm just going to prop that end of the cable up. Let's go after it so I can get it to melt down again. Again, we do want a good join down to that board underneath. There we go. Right, it's on. Ow, that is really fucking hot. Right, I'm just gonna. I'm just having a look. I'm not 100% sold on that join, you see. Ah, that's better. And yeah, I know it's a bit of on a bit of an angle, but that will do. That'll do. Right, that was the hardest piece to do, and yes, as you can see, it's on a bit of an angle. But once it's got a bit of shrink wrap round it, only me and you will know. Right. Yeah, that looks like a really good join in there. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. It's not down perfectly, and it is on a bit of an angle, but like I said, a bit of a shrink wrap over the top, nobody will know at all. Right, where's our red cables? And this part should go a lot easier because it's a much smaller joint to solder up. Okay, so where's that cup on the nib? I'm just going to pre-warm that. There we go, just. That's it. Okay, so that's what soldering should be like. It should be you don't want to get too much heat into the components which you've got, and it should be as fast as possible. And one of the reasons why that was really quick then is because we pre-tinned the components, so it was just a case of putting a bit of heat on and then getting the heat back off again. So let's do this again now. So let's get that cup down on there, waiting for it to join, which it has. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Okay, so that's where I am right now. It's not the best angled job in the world, so all we are missing to do is to get the plug put on there, which is on my other desk. I found my cup of coffee while I was there. Happy days. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do, because I don't ever intend to be taking this apart again, and I know that switch is very good there because it does click in, but let's face it, this is going to go on a model airplane, which if you've seen any of my normal flying, it's a bit lively, so I am just going to get the hot glue gun out and just put a bit of hot glue down, put quite a bit of hot glue down on top of that switch. And the reason for that is that I don't want it to ever come out. And I've got that in my cup of coffee now. Oh, now we got hot snow string. Right, get off. Right, so there we are. We're good so far, and we got the switch on. Now I need to just wait for that to cool down a tick. Now to the right hand side was the battery, so I've got a battery there, so that helps me work out which connector I need. So I've got a bag of the good quality connectors, which you can, I think this was off Hobby King actually, so I need that one and I need one of those as well. And I really do like these XT60 connectors, which have got the backing on them, this little clip. It does help them become a lot more rigid. Now I did have 2 bits of shrink wrap, shrink tubing, and I need 2 other bits out of my orifice. Great, I've got the choice of red or red. Excellent. Okay, so that side, I'm just going to double check that again. It does say battery plus, so that does need to be on that side, and that cable's a little bit too long, so where's my scissors? And again, even if I bring them back round, yeah, it's still going to be way too long. So I'm just going to trim that one down, like so. Put the battery out of the way, and let's get ourselves a nice little clean end. So is that yeah, that's the long end. So we're going to go back quite far on that one. Let's twist it, like so. We'll do the same for the negative, and we'll twist that one as well. So that's almost ready. We do need 2 bits of shrink tube as well, so we'll just need scissors. So doing about 1/2 inch, or just under. And we only just need to cover the wires. It's just in case to stop a bit of stray wire going in there to get into the bare joints. And we'll need to pop those down like so. Brilliant. And before I do that, I think I'm going to heat shrink the center. Now I've got two pieces of heat shrink, and I'm hoping this piece is going to be big enough to go over the cables and over the board, just to give a bit of extra strength on these, which I think it's going to fit. Where's me? I've got a knife here, so I need to go very careful. There we go. There's prod. Just gently push that up the board. Unfortunately, I don't have any better, it's a bit of the shrink tube going over there, any wider wrap. So let's get some heat into that. Now normally I would use the hot air gun, which isn't in my office. And by the way, you should definitely use a hot air gun rather than a lighter, because the hot air gun gives a much wider area of heat, and it's much quicker to do than believe it or not, than a lighter. You just click the button and off it goes. So that's looking good already. Now I do have a much bigger piece which I'd like to get in and over the top like so. So I need to make sure that's pretty much, in fact that does allow me to come back that way quite a bit, doesn't it? Brilliant. In fact, do I tie that around? I'm just trying to think of keeping this as a really neat job, because that board was so beautiful and nobody's ever going to see it again. Such a pity. Well, you're going to see this on this video, but it was so well made. Right, let's go for this. So let's get the lighter underneath. And because it is such a big sheet, I am just trying to take it slowly and not keeping it in one area too much. And I really do wish that I had a hot air gun. It's just one of those paint stripper ones. It's not a special bought one. It's just one which we use for general DIY. And that is starting to shrink down now. So let's keep going like that. I think this camera knows that it's on camera because, this lighter knows that it's on camera, because normally it is such a toad to get going. So you see me just taking my time with this. We're in no rush. It takes as long as it takes. It's as simple as that. So we can see it starting to grip down and clamp down. Those edges are always an issue. I'm just going to try and squeeze those together with my hand, just so that the shrink tube can really shrink down on that. So I hope this is coming out okay on the video for you. Apologies if this has taken a while. Brilliant. That is starting to clamp down, and I'm sure it will clamp down a bit more, and I think I'll go and get the heat gun out just to really shrink it down. Brilliant. Now I've been and forgot the orientation. No, I haven't, because we knew that that side was the battery side, and I'd been and set those up. So brilliant. Okay, so we know with these we need to get our I'm just thinking, just to do a better job, I'm actually going to squeeze a little bit of extra shrink tube down that. And yeah, this is adding extra weight to the model, but come on, who's going to notice a fraction of a gram on there? And again, if it means that it lasts a couple of extra flights, which I sincerely do hope it's going to last more than a couple of flights, then that is going to be happy days. So let me get that up. I'm just going to poke that up in there. Well, sorry, I am doing this off camera. All I'm trying to do is just stuff the shrink wrap in, just to, yeah, just for that to go up in there. Brilliant. So yeah, I've obviously not put any heat on that yet, and I'll be very careful on this side where this cable is, but that's in there, and I know this smaller piece of shrink tubing will clamp right down on these cables, just like it's done on the opposite side. Brilliant. Right, home straight now. All we now need to do is solder these ones on, so we know the red always goes to the flat side, And instead of me going through and showing you this piece, because it is kind of boring, I will be back to you in a couple of seconds time by the magic of video editing with the completed article. So from myself, Matt, I'll catch you in a tick. So then gents, that's the finished article. I'm really happy with it, considering I didn't really have big enough shrink or heat shrink tubing to do it all properly. But here's the finished article. Now, all in, including the high quality connectors on the end, which do come with the extra clips around the side and the power lead, we are talking 29 grams on there, and I'm super happy with that because we've got decent quality connectors on there. We have got nice, the board underneath is very well protected. You saw me put an extra bit of hot glue just down on top of these wires, and I think the combination of the little bit of hot glue on the top and the clip and the heat shrink on top will make sure that that stays on there forever now. And yeah, really nice job. I'm really happy with that. In fact, I'm so happy I'm going to pop a photograph up on your screen right now so you can see what my finished article's like. And ultimately, I hope this helps you wiring up your little power distribution board for the PixRacer. So with that said, from myself, Matt, thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I will see you soon in the next one. Cheerios!